Chapter 21. Arriving at the floating cloud sect. As soon as the barrier was pierced, Shun Long didn't hear any crashing sound, but an enjoyable feeling rushed through his body. Earlier, when they were above the clouds, the pressure from the high altitude had even made the Earth-grade experts feel some annoyance, let alone the key condensation rookies. Although Shun Long wasn't heavily affected by this pressure earlier, he had still felt some discomfort. But as soon as the red-winged condor pierced the barrier, every deep breath he took had the feeling of a gentle wave of ki, slowly inserting itself in his body. As soon as the group pierced the barrier, a blinding light suddenly forced Shun Long to close his eyes, and by the time he reopened them, Shun Long noticed that the scenery in front of his eyes had changed. A huge city had appeared in the distance in front of the group, and the red-winged condor was heading straight at its direction. "Have you noticed yet?" Lu Wen asked. Shun Long nodded in understanding. "The aura truly is much purer in the air here compared to the Sky Fortune Kingdoms," Shun Long answered. Lu Wen nodded at Shun Long's deduction and said, "But of course, otherwise wouldn't the cultivation world be just like the mortal world?" Lu Wen then paused for a bit before asking a sudden question. "Shun Long, what do you think about my uncle?" Shun Long pondered for a bit before saying, "From what I have seen so far, he seems to truly care about you. As for you though, you don't seem to like your family very much." When Shun Long finished his words, he saw a shocked expression on Lu Wen's face. "Actually, that wasn't hard to guess," Shun Long said. "When your uncle said that it's time for you to return home, I was right next to you and could see your reluctance." Shun Long stopped for a bit before continuing to say, "So my guess is that someone from your family wanted you to return home and you didn't have much of a choice but to listen to them." Lu Wen didn't know what to say at this point. Shun Long, just from observing his reactions and body language, had already figured out most of his situation. Lu Wen took a deep breath as he said, "Actually, there is a huge struggle in my family over who will become the next family head of the house. I have a younger brother who is extremely talented, and I also have an older brother who is very smart as well as strong. They both want the position of the family head, while I am not interested in it. That is why I decided to leave my home 3 years ago and descend to the mortal world, while I study alchemy. However, my father ordered me to return home with this selection process, and he said that in the next 3 years he will pass the position of the family head to one of my brothers. Originally I objected, as returning home would only mean that I would have to be involved in my brother's struggle, but in the end, I didn't have a say in this matter, so I had to come." Shun Long didn't ask anything about Lu Wen's family from the start. He didn't want to involve himself in their family struggle, as he had already understood the gist of it even without Lu Wen explaining anything. Lu Wen then left behind one last sentence before heading towards his uncle, who was sitting at the head of the red-winged condor. "If you need my help inside the city, you can always find me at the Mystifying Fragrance Pavilion." Shun Long was about to ask something when Elder Lu's voice was heard. "Soon we will be arriving at the floating cloud sect. First off, I'm sure that many amongst you have brought plenty of gold coins with them." When Elder Lu finished his sentence, plenty of people puffed their chests proudly, wanting to show off, as they had already prepared thousands and thousands of gold coins. Elder Lu didn't praise them as these people had expected. Shun Long even noticed the traces of a mocking smile on his face as he said, "Let me explain some things beforehand, or you may find yourselves feeling lost when we arrive in the city. First of all, my floating cloud sect is this city." Everyone was speechless until one person suddenly asked, "Elder Lu, do you mean that the floating cloud sect is located inside the city?" Elder Lu looked at him with contempt as he asked, "Is it that this old man didn't make himself clear, or that your ear's a useless kid? My floating cloud sect isn't inside the city, it is the city. The entire city belongs to my floating cloud sect, and everyone inside is a member of the sect." Everyone's jaws dropped to the ground. Only now did Shun Long understand the reason Lu Wen told him that he could find him at the mystifying fragrance pavilion. That's because the entire city belonged to the floating cloud sect. Elder Lu continued, everything inside my floating cloud sect can only be bought using sect points. You can obtain sect points by doing missions for the sect, helping other disciples, or conducting transactions with others directly. When you enter the city, each of you will be given a sect-identifying jade. This jade has two main uses. Firstly, it is the symbol of your identity as a disciple of the floating cloud sect, and at the same time, it is also the place where your sect points are stored. Each person's sect-identifying jade can only be used by themselves. If you lose yours, then even if others find it, they won't be able to take your sect points from it. Elder Lu continued, and with a mocking smile he said, as for all of you who have brought thousands of gold coins with you, did you think that gold has any value to a cultivator? Disciples can use sect points to obtain resources, techniques, skills, or even to eat and drink. What value would gold have in such a scenario? Only now did Shun Long understand why his father had insisted on him making connections in the Sky Fortune Kingdom before entering the sect. It was for him to get acquainted with the rest of the people entering the sect from the Sky Fortune Kingdom, so they could help each other when they are inside. Nobody said anything to refute Elder Lu, as they all knew he was right. Shun Long then thought, this old man is right. Did these people think that the others in the floating cloud sect wouldn't have any gold themselves? However, this is a good opportunity. There should be plenty of ways for me to gather sect points inside. Perhaps I can even try out my skills as an alchemist. While Shun Long was lost in thought, thinking of the best way to gather sect points for himself, Elder Lu's shout interrupted him as he said, prepare yourselves, we have arrived in the floating cloud sect. Chapter 22, How to get sect points. The red-winged condor landed in front of the city gates, and Elder Lu turned to look at the people beside him as he said, follow me, we will go and get your sect robes as well as your sect-identifying jades. Shun Long and the rest got off the red-winged condor, who let out a screech as it flew up and slowly disappeared in the horizon. Shun Long and his group followed Elder Lu, who walked through the city gates. On the way, they saw countless disciples in yellow robes. The city itself looked to be even bigger than the imperial city of the Sky Fortune Kingdom, and even more bustling as well. Elder Lu then said, actually, just from the island that you kids came from, every 3 years my floating cloud sect recruits almost 60,000 outer disciples. Every disciple with average talent will usually take approximately 30 to 40 years to reach the late levels of the Earth grade. And unless these disciples particularly stand out in some way, then until and if there comes a day where they can reach the heaven grade in order for the sect to give them the chance to become sect elders, they can only stay as outer disciples until then, even if they are at the peak of the Earth grade. And that's just the disciples that came from the same island as you. Overall, the sect has more than 1 million outer disciples. Shun Long was shocked as he thought inside that this is not a sect but a small kingdom instead. Elder Lu guided them deeper inside the city as he continued explaining. The city is called the Floating Cloud City, and it is divided into 2 parts. The outer city where you disciples will stay, and the inner city where the inner disciples and the elders of the sect reside. Inner disciples and elders do not meddle in the affairs of you outer sect disciples, but that also means that you have only yourselves to count on if you get in trouble with other disciples. However, murder in the Floating Cloud City is forbidden unless it is in the arena, so you don't have to be afraid of getting killed over minor things. As Elder Lu was speaking, they had already arrived in front of a huge building with 2 big words written on it, Administration Building. Elder Lu then explained as he headed inside, this is the Administration Building, and it is also the most important place in the entire outer city. This is where you will get your disciple robes as well as your sect-identifying jades. Administrator Feng will explain the rest to you. The administration building had 5 floors, and Shun Long noticed that each floor was as wide as a football stadium. By the time they arrived on the 3rd floor, a middle-aged man wearing black robes similar to Elder Lu's had come out to receive their group. Elder Lu cupped his hands at Administrator Feng as he said, "Administrator Feng, this is the recent batch of disciples that I was in charge of. Now that I have delivered him to you, this old man will take his leave. I hope you don't mind." Then Elder Lu grabbed Lu Wen from his left arm as he said, "Kid, you are coming with me now." He then looked at the 3 disciples that had followed with him when he descended to the Sky Fortune Kingdom, and said to them, "You 3 can go collect your rewards for this mission." He then grabbed Lu Wen and disappeared from the room like a gust of wind. Administrator Feng seemed to not mind Elder Lu as he looked at Shun Long and the rest before saying in a deep voice, "I assume that Elder Lu has explained to you the most important things regarding the city." Then by waving his left hand, he magically took out 30 or so yellow robes as he said, "These are your outer sect disciples' robes. You are required to wear them at all times inside the sect. Remember, sect robes are a classification of your status inside the sect. Yellow robes are the outer sect disciples, green clothes are the inner sect disciples, and black robes are the sect elders. A sect elder or an inner sect disciple will not come to the outer city, and outer sect disciples are also forbidden from entering the inner city. There are always some exceptions, however, for example, my administration building. All of you, come and take a sect-identifying jade." Then, Administrator Feng pointed at a desk beside him where a pile of crimson-like jades were arranged in rows. Shun Long walked forward along with the others, and as his hand touched the red sect jade, a cooling feeling rushed through him. Administrator Feng said, "Circulate your key and send a strand of it to your jade to bind it." As soon as Shun Long had binded his sect jade, he sent inside his spiritual energy to examine it and noticed a number inside the jade. 30. In your jades, you will all see a number if you send your spiritual energy inside. This is the number of sect points that the sect gives to all the newly accepted disciples. Administrator Feng's voice was heard as he continued to explain. This is the only time the sect will ever give you sect points for free. Remember, sect points are your resources in the sect. Without sect points, you can't do anything. Administrator, how can we get more sect points? A young man dressed in golden robes asked. This was one of the disciples who was feeling the most sulky in the group, as he had already prepared thousands of gold coins, but they had turned out to be useless. The most important thing for these young people was to get more sect points and get more things from the sect. When Administrator Feng heard this question, he had a crafty smile on his face as he answered. There are 4 different ways to get sect points inside the sect. Chapter 23, Alchemists, Guild. There are 4 different ways to get sect points. The first and safest way would be to become a miner for the sect. There are many outer disciples who decide to work at the spirit stone mines of our sect. The sect will pay you 50 sect points a month for you to help us mine spirit stones. Of course, there is a quota you need to meet when mining, so those who work harder than others can also obtain more sect points at the end of the month. Shun Long wondered for a second whether his triangular-shaped stone was some kind of spirit stone, but he quickly discarded the idea. This stone has a special space inside it that I can enter to cultivate the Monarch's hourglass, and it has also integrated itself in my spiritual space. I doubt it is anything even remotely similar to a spirit stone. Shun Long thought. Administrator Feng, we have never heard of spirit stones before, said a disciple with a shining bald head and a burly physique. Right, I forgot that there are almost no spirit stones on the island where you all came from. Administrator Feng said, and then he took out a glistening white stone in the shape of a rhombus as he showed it to these disciples and said, "Spirit stones are stones that are full of pure ki, which cultivators at the heaven grade and above can absorb to aid their cultivation. So what do you think, children? Do you want to work in the spirit stone mines? You can get up to 100 sect points in a month if you work really hard." When Administrator Feng finished his sentence, he looked like an old man trying to tempt a child with candy, but the look on his face only served to frighten these disciples. The young girl with the ponytail then asked him nervously, Adam, isn't there any other way for us to get sect points?" Only then did Administrator Feng notice that most of these kids were already frightened by him. "Tisk, cowards." He then clicked his tongue disdainfully as he said, "There are 3 other ways to get sect points, but they are not as profitable for you as the spirit stone mines." Administrator Feng tried to throw his bait once more before saying, "The second way would be to help an alchemist or to be one yourself. But that would probably not work for any of you. Alchemists are rich and they could always use some help to finish their pill refinement a bit faster. There are even some rank 3 bronze alchemists that were looking for helpers the other day, but their requirements are of course for you to be an alchemist yourself. For a rank 1 alchemist, they would pay 20 sect points a month, for a rank 2 it would be 50, while for a rank 3 alchemist to help them the price could go as high as 200 sect points for a month." When Shun Long heard this, his eyes shone brightly, not because he wanted to help other alchemists, but because he was already planning to become one even before entering the floating cloud sect. Otherwise, wouldn't all the information he had gotten from the Golden Book and all the pain he had suffered from it be all in vain? Shun Long then thought, so far alchemists really do seem to be the most profitable path to follow if I want to gather sect points, but I should still probably listen to the rest of what this old man says. Administrator Feng continued, "Aside from alchemists or the spirit stone mines, you can accept sect missions. Some of these missions are outside the sect and they require you to hunt some strong magic beasts or find specific herbs that alchemists may need, while the missions that can be completed inside the sect are usually requests for alchemists to refine specific pills that the treasure pavilion doesn't have. These are only some examples, as anyone inside the sect can put a request for a sect mission, but the rule is to first deposit the amount of sect points that you are willing to pay for your request to be completed in the administration building before your mission can be officially listed. However, I suggest that you don't visit the mission section just yet, as no one of you should be strong enough to undertake any missions right now. Lastly, you can apply to work in places like my administration building, the treasure pavilion, and others. Now, those of you that are interested in working at the spirit stone mines can stay behind. The rest of you leave." In the end, 11 out of the 24 people stayed behind to apply to work as miners in the sect. Shun Long had decided to check the mission section that was on the first floor. What Administrator Feng had said earlier was correct. Most of the missions were related to alchemists. After having a look at the listed missions, Shun Long rented a somewhat decent courtyard on an inn that was a few hundred meters away from the administration building, before he decided to take a look around the floating cloud city. On the way, he saw a lot of street stalls, but instead of selling food like the street vendors in the mortal world would, this time it was the outer disciples of the sect and they were selling everything a person could imagine. Shun Long saw swords, sabers, and spears for sale, and almost all of them had been engraved by runes from high-level formation masters, most of whom were at least of rank 3 in the bronze level. He even saw a saber from a rank 1 silver grade formation master for sale. The seller was a middle-aged looking man, probably around 45 years old, with arms as big as a person's thighs. The price he was asking for this saber was more than 1,000 sect points. Other stalls were selling medicinal ingredients, while some even directly sold medicinal pills. However, the cheapest item that Shun Long had spotted today was still above 50 sect points. Only now did he understand that the 30 sect points that the sect had given to him was truly a minuscule amount. Unknowingly, after walking for a long time, Shun Long saw that he had arrived in front of a huge building that was on par with the administration building in size. It had 2 gigantic doors that even carriages could fit inside and 2 huge cauldrons placed on either side of the doors. There were 2 eye-catching words plated in gold at the top of the building that everyone inside the floating cloud sect respected. Alchemists Guild. Shun Long hesitated for a second before walking towards those gigantic doors. Chapter 24. Conflict in the Alchemists Guild. As soon as Shun Long entered the Alchemists Guild, his nose was assaulted by the fragrance of freshly made pills. His body slightly twitched and his pores opened as if they were trying to breathe the medicinal essence in the air. A young girl around 18 years old approached Shun Long. Her aura was at the early rank 8 of key circulation. Her face wasn't that pretty, but her big B. B. S and curvy buttocks made every young man who saw her feel a heat on his crotch. Her yellow robes were tightly wrapped around her body, accentuating her curves even further. As she bowed at Shun Long, her cleavage was partly exposed, which made Shun Long's body to start heating up as she said, "Welcome, junior brother. Do you need a cauldron or medicinal ingredients? My name is Jing Fei and I am here to help you. Our Alchemists Guild has everything you will need. In every important building, there were some cultivators responsible for receiving and guiding guests, and obviously this girl was one of them." Shun Long then said, "I'm here to take the rank 1 alchemist examination." When he finished his sentence, the woman's expression changed into one of disdain as she said with a mocking look on her face, "Hey kid, do you know how many people take the rank 1 examination every day? More than 300 people. From those 300 people, less than 1% pass. Have you ever studied alchemy before? I can't be bothered with you, just scram to the reception over there if you want to apply for the examination." Her tone had changed all of a sudden from the friendly senior sister to an annoyed shrew, as if Shun Long was wasting part of her precious time. Shun Long said in an annoyed tone, "It's your job to guide guests and yet you are this rude and irritable. Your face is unpleasing to the eye, to say the least, and your only redeeming quality is your body. Then again, I'm sure that I entered the Alchemists Guild, not a brothel, so I'm not exactly sure what you are doing here showing your B. B. S to your guests. Sadly, I don't sleep with sluts. Who knows how many people have already used you down there. I wouldn't touch your filthy body even if you begged me." Then, without taking a second look at this annoying woman who had already ruined his mood, Shun Long walked towards the reception to register himself. Just then the woman behind him screamed as she said, "Wait, you are not allowed to take part in the examination anymore." Shun Long's eyebrows were raised as he looked at her and his gaze suddenly turned cold and piercing as he was about to speak, but an authoritative voice was heard from behind him that said, "If she said you are not allowed to take the exam, then you won't take the exam. Scram out of the guild." An obese man around his 50s with a belly so big that he resembled a rugby ball appeared behind Shun Long and Jing Fei. His clothes were white, exclusive only to alchemists inside the sect. The man wasn't exactly short, but because of how big his belly was, he truly resembled a rugby ball. "Alchemist BU," the woman exclaimed in an overjoyed tone as she rushed towards the man and linked her arms with his. Then she looked at Shun Long as she said in an impatient tone, "Didn't you hear, Alchemist BU? He told you to scram, kid." Shun Long was extremely angry at this point. First, he comes to the Alchemists Guild to take a test, then he gets verbally attacked by an aggressive shrew, and then a fat rugby ball had come to abuse him. Shun Long's eyes turned red as he unleashed his aura of a peak rank 6 key condensation. This time he had truly unleashed his aura, Unlike the time he fought with Co Shitu, where he had only unleashed an aura in the middle of rank 6 in ki condensation. Jing Fei was happy that Shun Long was only at the peak of rank 6, as she hadn't used her spiritual strength earlier to probe him. Although she could feel a suppressive effect from Shun Long's aura, she didn't pay much attention to it, as she was already more than a full minor realm stronger than Shun Long. She then walked forward as she said, "Elder Bu, watch as I teach this kid a lesson." "What do you mean by Elder Bu?" "Fei Fei, how many times have I told you to simply call me Duyi? Don't worry, just let me take care of this brat for you," Alchemist Bu said in an endearing tone, as the fat on his face jiggled every time he opened his mouth. However, Jing Fei didn't listen to Alchemist Bu as she rushed to attack Shun Long. She already knew what Bu Duyi wanted if he were to help her, and she wasn't willing to pay that price just to handle a small rank 6 ki condensation rookie. However, Jing Fei had really underestimated Shun Long. His aura had exploded and Jing Fei was stopped on her tracks, but that wasn't the end of it. Shun Long then unleashed his Monarch's Domain as well, but he didn't target Alchemist Bu as he knew that the difference in cultivation was at far too big of a level to cover. Alchemist Bu had an aura at the late stages of the Earth grade. The difference in both their quality and their quantity of their ki couldn't even be mentioned together. But Jing Fei was a different matter altogether. In front of the Monarch's Domain, with less than 2 minor levels of difference between them, she was incapable of even opening her mouth in front of Shun Long. Shun Long appeared in front of a terrified Jing Fei who couldn't move a single muscle, and his left hand slapped down on her face with so much force that as it fell on her cheek, bones were heard breaking from the impact. Alchemist Bu's aura then completely exploded as he recovered himself from his stupor. He couldn't understand how could Jing Fei be beaten so badly by Shun Long, but he knew that it was now his chance to get revenge for her as well as having her owe him at the same time. Bu Duyi had arrived in front of Shun Long in the blink of an eye, as he clenched his hand tightly before punching Shun Long straight on his chest. Shun Long's body flew backwards as it collided with the wall behind him, before vomiting a mouthful of blood. Chapter 25. Sudden Changes. Shun Long could feel his insides shaking as he crashed on the wall and fragments flew around it collapsed. His sternum had nearly caved in from that punch as he spat another mouthful of blood before exerting all the power he had left in his body to stand up from inside the debris. Shun Long could feel inside him a power that was rapidly healing his injuries. However, at the same time, his ki was being depleted at an astonishing rate. Bu Duyi was startled. "How are you still alive?" he asked, the astonishment evident in his voice. Bu Duyi's aura made it obvious that he had already reached the early rank 9 of the Earth grade. Shun Long surviving a punch from him and still being able to stand after that was already nothing short of a miracle. "Kill him," a shrill voice was suddenly heard from behind Bu Duyi. Jing Fei had appeared behind him. The entire right side of her face had now turned similar to a pig's, red and swollen from Shun Long's slap. "I can't kill him inside the floating cloud city, or the punishment I will receive will be too big of a price to pay," Bu Duyi said, regretfully. "I will give you what you want, so kill him," Jing Fei said venomously as she grinded her teeth. "Ah, if you insist, my little Fei Fei, then I will take care of this kid for you," Bu Duyi said as he looked at Shun Long and said, "Kid, blame your own bad luck for meeting me today and offending my little Fei Fei." Shun Long's mind was filled with endless anger as well as a feeling of powerlessness. He had left the Sky Fortune Kingdom to become stronger so that he can protect his own life, but in the end, he was just a few steps away from death after just one day in the floating cloud sect. His mind suddenly shook, as both the triangular-shaped stone and the golden book buzzed simultaneously. Out of nowhere, a silver-white page had appeared in his spiritual space. This page's appearance was just like the one that had sucked him inside the golden book, but the aura it was exuding was millions of times greater than that of Bu Duyi's. If Bu Duyi was a tiny ant crawling on the ground, then this silver-white page was a divine dragon soaring the skies. Shun Long could instantly feel that his mind was connected with this silver-white page, and he was sure that if he were to take it out of his spiritual space, he could definitely kill Bu Duyi in one shot. The triangular-shaped stone, however, was still buzzing inside his spiritual space. The pressure coming from it even overshadowed the golden book and the silver-white page that had just appeared. Bu Duyi was slowly walking towards Shun Long, trying to torture him with anxiety. What Bu Duyi most wanted to see was the expression of despair on Shun Long's face before he killed him. Shun Long understood what Bu Duyi was trying to do, and he thought inside, "What a shameless old man. He first wants me to feel despair before killing me. Well, if you want to be that vicious, then you better watch how I play you to death today. Even if I have to flee from the floating cloud sect, I can't just sit and die like this." Shun Long then put on an expression full of fear on his face, as Bu Duyi came closer and closer. As long as he was close enough to him, Shun Long was sure that he could slash him with the silver-white page, even if Bu Duyi was a rank 9 Earth-grade cultivator. What is going on here? An old man with a white long beard had arrived at the Alchemists' Guild doors and asked in an authoritative voice full of displeasure. This old man was dressed in silver robes, and there was a silver badge of a tiny cauldron on his chest with 1 star embedded on it. Bu Duyi's face instantly changed as he walked fawningly over to the old man's side and said respectfully, "Senior Li, what a pleasant surprise. Stop the bootlicking, Bu Duyi. I asked you what happened here." Bu Duyi's face twitched, and while his expression didn't change, his eyes turned cold inside. However, he instantly suppressed that feeling as he answered, "Senior Li, it was all this kid's fault. This kid has disrupted the peace and quiet inside the Alchemists' Guild, so I asked him to leave, but he refused. Thus I had no choice but to teach him a lesson. I hope that you will forgive me." The old man snorted as he looked around, his eyes instantly falling on the female receptionist. He walked over as he asked her what had happened, with a stern expression on his face. Bu Duyi tried to give a threatening glare to the receptionist, but as soon as Senior Li turned to look at him, he instantly felt his heart turning cold. "Fuck, if this bitch doesn't keep her mouth shut, I'll be in trouble later." The receptionist didn't dare to lie in front of Senior Li. After all, there were plenty of other people here that had seen what happened earlier, and if any of them were to step forth and tell the truth, even her life could be in trouble then. When Senior Li heard from the receptionist what had happened, he turned his head to look at Bu Duyi and Jing Fei threateningly. "How dare you lie in front of Senior Li, you insolent waste? You deserve death." Bu Duyi rushed over at the receptionist, but before his palm could strike her, Bu Duyi felt a heavy feeling on his waist. Senior Li's foot had already landed on him from the side, and Bu Duyi's fat body was sent flying as he destroyed a very thick wall. Senior Li didn't even turn to look at Bu Duyi, whose eyes were closed as his body was twitching, while his white robes had turned gray from the dust. Instead, he turned his head to look at Jing Fei, who abruptly started trembling as she heard Senior Li's next words. "I'll deal with you two later." Then he turned his head to look at Shun Long as he said in a cold voice, "As for you, although you were partially the victim here, you are too cruel and your mouth is too poisonous. You spat curses at an employee of our Alchemists' Guild. Although I won't ask you for any compensation about the broken walls or the trouble you have caused, you are hereby forbidden from entering the Alchemists' Guild in the floating cloud city ever again." Shun Long's eyes instantly turned frosty as he looked at this disgusting old man, who was trying to cover his subordinates' wrongdoings even at this time. Ha 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 ha. However, just then, sudden melodious laughter was heard from a corner of the room, drawing everyone's attention. Chapter 26, Lu Mei. Just then, sudden melodious laughter was heard from a corner of the room, drawing everyone's attention. An enchantingly beautiful woman was standing there, painting a picturesque scene. Her flawless face had left both men and women in the room dazed. Her breathtaking black eyes resembled the starry night, while her perfect red lips were simply mesmerizing. She wore long green robes that indicated her status as an inner disciple in the sect. Shun Long had never seen a woman more beautiful than her in his life. Even those celebrities from my past life couldn't compare with this woman in front of me, he thought while he was looking at her peerlessly beautiful face when a voice suddenly woke him up. "Hey, what are you all looking at?" The voice was full of displeasure as it reverberated inside the room, coming from behind this peerlessly beautiful woman. Shun Long then noticed another pretty woman in green robes, standing even further behind in the corner. It was this woman who had spoken just now. This woman may be slightly lacking in terms of appearance if I were to compare her with the peerlessly beautiful girl beside her, but to be honest, she is also a great beauty as well, Shun Long thought as his gaze turned to examine this girl too. Senior sister, look, now everyone is looking at us. Apparently, this peerless beauty was the senior sister, while the other beauty standing closer to the corner earlier was the junior sister. Nobody knew what method these two girls had used to conceal themselves inside the room. Otherwise, with their extraordinary appearances, it would be impossible for people to not have noticed them. Humph, so what if they are looking at us? I didn't expect that the Alchemists Guild, in our floating cloud city, to only be at this level. How dare you? Bu Duyi, who had only just recovered from Senior Li Wei's kick on his waist, and was enraged as he heard what this girl had just said. She directly implied that there was something wrong with the Alchemists Guild, and Bu Duyi wouldn't allow him to expose him like that when even Senior Li Wei had covered for him earlier today. But contrary to all expectations, it was Li Wei who had cut off his words by sending a heavy slap at his face. Before Bu Duyi could even react, Li Wei warned him in a threatening tone. "If you speak one more sentence, you will have to collect your rolling head from the floor." Then Li Wei put on the best smile he could muster, and even though it looked like he was half smiling and half crying, he approached the two green-robed girls as he said, "Miss Lu Mei and Miss Lan Jinjing, it is an honor for you to visit my Alchemists Guild. Please forgive that ignorant idiot who is too blind to see who you are. If you wish to punish him, however, you can do so freely. I will definitely not object to it." Bu Duyi, whose heart was blazing with flames of rage, now felt like he had just been showered with a bucket full of ice. Shun Long was also speechless by how shameless Li Wei could be. These two girls must definitely have some extraordinary origins, or this shitty old man wouldn't be so polite to them, he thought. The junior sister of the two, Lan Jinjing, looked at Bu Duyi as she said coldly, "For daring to speak like that to my senior sister, you deserve death." Lan Jinjing's eyes were bursting with anger, and she looked like she was just half a step away from tearing Bu Duyi's body apart when Lu Mei stopped her and said, "We shouldn't kill anyone inside the city, even if it is scum like this person, or we too would become the same as them in that case." Lu Mei said in a cold voice that didn't hide her displeasure towards Bu Duyi, before she turned her head to look at Senior Li Wei, saying, "Mr. Li, you should allow this junior brother to participate in the test. Everyone inside the hall knows the truth about this matter, and it could possibly affect your reputation. This junior brother only intended to take the test when this woman first insulted him," Lu Mei said as she pointed at Jing Fei. Jing Fei's face had turned completely white. She knew that these two stunning women were definitely inner sect disciples, and this time she was most likely doomed. Shun Long was also surprised. Lu Mei's bluntness astounded him. Nevertheless, He politely cupped his fists at her before turning and leaving the Alchemists Guild. His meaning was obvious. Shun Long had refused Lu Mei's goodwill as this was a matter of pride for him. Since the Alchemists Guild had kicked him out the first time, he wouldn't return even if Li Wei had begged him. Besides, all that he wanted to do this time aside from participating in the examination for the rank 1 alchemists, was to verify some of his theories about medicinal ingredients and see whether a few of his hypotheses were correct or not. But even without the Alchemists Guild, he could still do it. It would just take a bit longer to do it. Lan Jinjing was tongue-tied. It was the first time someone hadn't accepted her senior sister's polite intentions. People would usually rush to fawn over her, but this guy did the complete opposite. Lu Mei wasn't offended by Shun Long's refusal to her. It was actually the first time that a young outer sect disciple had piqued her interest, her sparkling eyes looking at Shun Long's lonely back as he walked out of the guild. Just as Shun Long had left the Alchemists Guild, a big ball of meat could be seen rushing towards him. Shun Long instantly turned around and was about to curse Bu Duyi before turning to run since he couldn't beat him just yet, when he noticed that this person's shape was different from Bu Duyi's. If Bu Duyi was like a rugby ball, then this person resembled more like a football, since his belly was completely round. Despite being fat, this person had arrived in front of Shun Long almost instantly, as he panted a bit before saying, "Brother, you were really impressive back there," the fat person said as he pointed behind him at the Alchemists Guild. Shun Long looked at this person who was also wearing green robes and thought, "Aren't inner disciples supposed to all be in the inner city and only rarely to come to the outer city? Then how come I've already seen 3 today?" This fat disciple then cupped his hands as he said, "My name is Fu Li and I'm from the inner sect. How can I address you, junior brother?" Shun Long was still on his guard towards this Fu Li, but he didn't sense any ill intentions from this person, so he too cupped his hands as he said, "My name is Shun Long." Just as Fu Li was about to respond, a familiar white-robed man approached them as he said, "Brother Shun, haha, what a coincidence. Will you accompany this elder brother for a drink at the Mystifying Fragrance Pavilion?" Chapter 27, Friends. The young man in white was of course Lu Wen. "Hey, Fatty Fu, what are you doing here? I was just going to ask you the same thing. How do you know brother Shun Long?" asked Fatty Fu. "Ah right," Fatty Fu continued, "Brother Shun Long, let's go to the Mystifying Fragrance Pavilion. Just now I heard Lu Wen invite us, which means he is obviously going to pay. We need to order the best food and wine, especially the Mystifying Fragrance wine. Its taste is truly heavenly." Fatty Fu quickly started salivating as he thought of the food and wine in the Mystifying Fragrance Pavilion. "Hey Fatty, who invited you?" "I only invited brother Shun. As for you, take a hike. Don't even dream of having me pay for your meal or I'll go bankrupt." Shun Long smiled as he saw the two bantering like old friends while they were walking towards their destination. Although Fatty Fu seemed to be closer in age to Shun Long, he was still great friends with Lu Wen. After all, in the cultivation world, 10 years were nothing. When a cultivator reached the Earth grade, they could already live for 500 years. The group walked for almost 30 minutes until they finally reached a very large and luxurious building. The building wasn't as big as the administration building or the Alchemists Guild, but it was definitely far more luxurious than both of them. After all the previous 2 involved pills and administration of the city, while this one was probably the most luxurious building in the entire sect, the Mystifying Fragrance Pavilion. Shun Long, Lu Wen, and Fatty Fu all walked towards it, and as they got closer, Shun Long noticed that the gates of the pavilion looked like they were made from pure gold with many runic lines engraved inside. Lu Wen knew that Shun Long would be curious since it was his first time visiting the Mystifying Fragrance Pavilion, so he explained, This metal isn't gold, but it's a formless liquid that only high-grade formation masters can create. It is first formed in a liquid state, and the formation masters need to hammer it and create the runic inscriptions inside it before it has completely solidified its shape. Fatty Fu interrupted Lu Wen as he said, "The gates of the mystifying fragrance pavilion are all created from this metal, and even a full-powered punch from a peak rank 9 Earth-grade expert probably can't destroy it. After all, this gate requires at least a formation master of the silver level to crescent." "Enough, Fatty, I will explain things, so wait until we get to our table first." The group had already reached the mystifying fragrance pavilion, but Fatty hadn't noticed it and had kept blabbering. Lu Wen said to the waiter, "Bring us to the 3rd floor and bring us 3 jars of mystifying fragrance wine." The waiter bowed as he brought him to the 3rd floor and quickly brought over their wine. Fatty Fu then said to Lu Wen, "Wow, you really are willing to spend today, brother Lu. 6,000 sect points for 3 jars of wine, impressive. This little brother will be in your care in the future. Scram, Fatty, next time you are the one paying for our wine. Today is an exception since I had to return home and I have been feeling so stifled that I couldn't take it anymore without drinking some good wine." Fatty Fu then asked, "Right, brother Lu, how did you meet brother Shun here?" Lu Wen and Fatty Fu both explained how they met Shun Long, and although Fatty Fu had expected such a normal situation, Lu Wen was astonished. "Did you really fight with Bu Duyi?" Lu Wen asked Shun Long, disbelief coloring his face. Shun Long instead smiled self-mockingly as he said, "Fight. That shameless old man just punched me once, but I couldn't do anything to him and I almost died from that punch of his. But I will make sure to pay him back tenfold in the future." Although his insides had almost healed by now, and his chest had no injuries anymore, his ki was almost depleted at this point. Shun Long, however, was shocked because even now, the triangular-shaped stone still hadn't stopped buzzing inside his spiritual space. "That is still unbelievable. How could a rank 6 condensation rookie survive a punch from a late Earth stage cultivator? This is a miracle. Brother Shun, you are truly amazing," Lu Wen said as he cupped his fists in respect to Shun Long's feet before they all opened their jars of wine to drink. As they were all drinking, the atmosphere in the table became even friendlier, and at this point, the 3 of them really regarded each other as true friends. After all, there was an old saying in the cultivation world: men become acquaintances after meeting each other, they become friends after drinking with each other, and they become true brothers after sharing life and death with each other. Lu Wen then asked Shun Long curiously, "Right, brother Shun, why did you go to the guild? I remember that you only started cultivating less than 2 months ago. Could it be that you were interested in studying alchemy? What did you say?" Now it was Fatty's turn to be astonished, as Shun Long needed less than 2 months to reach his current level. "Ha ha ha, my Fu Li's brother is a genius that needed less than 2 months to reach the peak of rank 6 in ki condensation. Brother, you have to come and meet my grandfather. If he knew that I have a brother who advanced so fast in his cultivation, perhaps he wouldn't beat me every time he saw me before telling me to go cultivate harder." Fatty Fu thought for a bit before saying, "Yes, that's it. It's not my fault that I am not progressing fast enough in my cultivation, it's just that I'm not a genius." Chapter 28, Another Alternative. "Yes, that's it. It's not my fault that I am not progressing fast enough in my cultivation, it's just that I'm not a genius." Shun Long and Lu Wen looked at the fatty and laughed before Shun Long responded to Lu Wen. "Actually, I need some books to practice alchemy. Although I have learned a few theories already, I still need to expand my horizons. That's why I was at the guild intending to take the examination to become a rank 1 alchemist." Lu Wen then said, "I can give you my own books both for rank 1 and rank 2 alchemists. I don't need him anymore, and hopefully, I will soon become a rank 3 alchemist." I have already learned all that I needed to from these books, therefore the only thing that is currently hindering me from becoming a rank 3 alchemist is my cultivation realm. This was the first time that Shun Long had heard something like that. So one needs to advance their own cultivation to advance in ranks as an alchemist. Shun Long asked curiously, "It's not that you have to advance realms necessarily, but it's more like that you can't advance as an alchemist unless you advance in your own realm first." Lu Wen's answer was puzzling and didn't make a lot of sense, so he continued explaining. Alchemists rely on their spiritual strength to refine their pills. But every higher rank pill also requires even more spiritual strength from the alchemist in order to succeed in the refinement of the pill. Shun Long seemed to understand where this conversation was headed to as Lu Wen continued. Theoretically, one can become a rank 1 alchemist at the early rank 1 stage in key condensation. However, that is realistically impossible. There is no way for an early rank 1 key condensation rookie to have enough spiritual strength to become a rank 1 alchemist. Shun Long understood what Lu Wen was trying to say, and he was feeling extremely joyful inside, as his spiritual strength had already advanced by leaps and bounds after absorbing the heavenly aura from the Golden Book. However, how far he had advanced right now could only be understood when he tried to refine pills himself. "I'm certain that even if I can't refine rank 3 pills yet, I can definitely succeed in refining rank 2 pills. Even Lu Wen is only a rank 2 bronze alchemist, so wouldn't that put me at least on par with him if my guess is right?" Lu Wen then continued, "Usually, an alchemist advances 1 rank for every 6 ranks they advance in cultivation. For example, a person usually needs to reach rank 6 in key condensation before they have enough spiritual strength to become a rank 1 bronze grade alchemist. That same person would then have to advance all the way to rank 3 in the earth grade before becoming a rank 2 bronze grade alchemist. As for becoming a rank 3 bronze grade alchemist, then that would require this person to become a rank 9 earth grade expert. Right now I am still at the peak of rank 3 in earth grade. However, my father told me that if I reach the middle stages of the earth grade before 3 months have passed, he will give me a Golden Eagle Spirit nourishing pill." When Fatty Fu heard this, he almost choked on his wine as he asked Lu Wen in disbelief, "Is that the same Golden Eagle nourishing pill that requires the core of a peak rank 3 Golden Eagle? That's a magic beast that even a peak heaven grade expert can't defeat in a one-on-one scenario. It also needs at least a rank 2 silver grade alchemist to refine it. Will your family really give something like this to you? Let alone giving it to you, where did you guys even find that?" Shun Long was shocked when he learned the pill's origins, but Fatty Fu was even more shocked because he knew how rare this pill is. Even in the treasure pavilion, in the city, one wouldn't necessarily find such a pill even after 10 or 20 years. This pill is actually in my grandfather's possession, and since he said that only I can have it as I'm the only alchemist in the family, none of my 2 brothers dared to object, or my grandfather would give the position of the family head directly to the other. After all, this is something that belonged to my grandfather to begin with. What right does anyone else in the family have to object if he wants to give it to me? It is also due to my grandfather's wishes that I returned back to the city from the mortal world. If I consume this Golden Eagle nourishing pill, then when I reach the middle stages of the earth grade, I would already be able to refine rank 3 bronze grade pills. So brother Shun, you don't have to refuse these books as they are already useless to me." Lu Wen then finished his sentence and waved his hand as 5 different books appeared from thin air. Shun Long had already seen the use of a spatial ring back when Administrator Feng had first used his own. "Damn, how convenient," Fatty Fu mumbled, and Shun Long nodded his head in agreement. Shun Long then accepted the books before asking, "Brother Lu, where can I find medicinal ingredients in the city? Originally I was planning to buy some from the Alchemists Guild, but there have to be other places as well in the floating cloud city, right? Lu Wen didn't answer Shun Long's question. Instead, Shun Long noticed that he had turned to look at Fatty Fu, before the fatty stood up from his chair and puffed his chest out proudly. Then Fatty Fu put on a well-pleased smile as he looked at Shun Long and said in a satisfied tone, "Actually, this brother here works for the biggest auction house in the floating cloud city, the Treasure Pavilion. Our Treasure Pavilion not only conducts auctions every month, but it also has access to a huge supply of medicinal ingredients. Just tell me what you need and this brother will definitely get it for you as long as it is within my abilities." Then Fatty Fu stopped talking for a bit before calculating something with his hands. After that, he embarrassingly raised 3 fingers before saying to Shun Long, "Right now I can only help you this much, brother." Chapter 29, Sect Points and Medicinal Ingredients. Lu Wen looked at Fatty with disdain as he asked, "Fatty, you only have 3,000 sect points." Fatty Fu replied embarrassingly, "I'm almost out of sect points for this month, but I will definitely have more next time. At least this much," he said as he then raised all 10 fingers proudly showing off. Shun Long understood that both Fatty Fu and Lu Wen were both very willing to help him. Shun Long's relationship with Lu Wen had only started because of his father's goodwill to gift him a good cauldron, but it evolved into something much purer. It was something that Shun Long had never experienced before. This unconditional friendship. This was also what brotherhood actually felt like. Things were the same with Fatty Fu. He was a simple-minded man. If he liked you, then you would know it, whereas if he hated you, he wouldn't even hesitate to kick you twice when you were down and struggling. Shun Long now genuinely understood that from today onwards, he would have 2 people by his side who could very well be called his brothers. Although this wasn't a brotherhood forged between a life and death situation, Shun Long knew that they genuinely treated him like a brother, and he would do the same. Shun Long and Fatty Fu could both accept Lu Wen paying for the wine this time, and they would pay the next time, be it in the mystifying fragrance pavilion, or in some other place. This kind of thing wasn't calculated by sect points between brothers. Sometimes you pay for them when you go out, while sometimes they pay for you. However, Shun Long would never accept charity from anyone, not even from his friends or his brothers. Especially because something like that could damage their relationship. A relationship involving profits was never pure after all. Therefore Shun Long said, "Right now I only want to know whether I'm suitable to practice alchemy or not to actually train to become an alchemist. I can see how my refinement process goes and decide in the future if I truly want to become an alchemist. Also, don't speak about giving me money again. What I want to know is this. I need honey fruit, blue stripped grass, 5-leaf giant flower, and grizzly growing root, 10 sets of these. How much would they cost in the Treasure Pavilion? Don't even think about lying to me, or when I find out, we will definitely not call each other brother by then." Fatty Fu sighed and then he calculated for a bit with his hands before saying, "These are all rank 1 medicinal ingredients and incredibly common at that. Therefore 10 sets of these would originally cost you 140 sect points. However, if we buy them on my name, we will get an extra 40% discount since I'm an employee in the Treasure Pavilion, which would reduce the overall cost to 84 sect points." Fatty Fu stayed silent for a bit before saying again, "But if you don't try enough times during pill refinement, how will you know whether you are really suited to practice alchemy or not? There is no way you can succeed with such a low amount of medicinal ingredients." Lu Wen also nodded as he had already experienced this firsthand, but they both didn't try to persuade Shun Long further to accept their help as they both understood his thoughts clearly. They too didn't want this brotherhood that they had formed between them to turn into a material relationship. That's why they accepted his decision. Shun Long calculated for a bit before saying, "Then for 3 sets it should be 25.2 sect points, right?" There is no 0.2 sect points in the sect. If the number is closer to 10 than to 0, then it is calculated as 1 point. Since 2 is closer to 0, then it is calculated as 0 points, which brings the sum to 25 sect points. Fatty Fu answered. Shun Long thought for a bit before saying, "Then brother, help me buy 3 sets of those ingredients. Here are the 25 points." Shun Long took out his sect identifying jade as he transferred 25 points to Fatty. They all kept drinking merrily for an hour until they had finished their wine and left the mystifying fragrance pavilion. Shun Long had already told Fatty Fu and Lu Wen the name of the inn he was staying at, and Fatty Fu promised him that he would have someone deliver the medicinal ingredients in less than 3 hours. Shun Long decided to stay in his room and read the alchemy books that Lu Wen had given him. Shun Long eventually found some information that he hadn't learned from the Golden Book. So, medicinal ingredients are categorized in 9 different grades, and each grade corresponds to each alchemist's ranks and abilities. For example, a rank 1 bronze grade alchemist would only be able to refine pills from rank 1 medicinal ingredients, whereas a rank 1 silver grade alchemist could use medicinal ingredients from anywhere between rank 1 to rank 4 for his concoctions. Shun Long mumbled to himself. Unknowingly, almost 3 hours had passed and Shun Long had lost himself into studying, when a voice coming from outside woke him up from his thoughts. "This guest, a person from the treasure pavilion, has delivered some goods for you." Shun Long collected the goods from the innkeeper before returning to his room and spacing out for a bit as he looked at the medicinal ingredients in his hands. Then he sighed as he thought, "This is make or break now. I already spent 25 of my 30 sect points for these 3 sets, and I have also already paid the innkeeper 4 sect points to reserve this courtyard for the rest of the month. If I fail this gamble, I would probably have to go and work in the mines for at least a month. Although I am absolutely confident that I can do this, I only have these 3 sets of ingredients and I can't afford to waste them." Shun Long then tried to calm his mind before starting his first attempt in pill refinement, when the triangular-shaped stone in his spiritual space quieted down. His consciousness was once again flooded with images just like it had been in the past before 3 words appeared in Shun Long's mind. The characters were unknown to Shun Long, he had never seen him before, but he could sense an ancient aura from them and Shun Long could understand what these words meant as if their meaning was engraved directly in his soul. Monarch's Eternal Body. Chapter 30. Monarch's Eternal Body. Monarch's Eternal Body. Shun Long instantly understood everything after these images flashed through his mind. The Monarch's Eternal Body was a heaven-defying technique just like the Monarch's Hourglass. However, the Monarch's Eternal Body was completely different from the Monarch's Hourglass. This was a body refinement art. Shun Long had already learned earlier from Lu Wen's books that there were 2 types of cultivators: Ki cultivators and body cultivators. Ki cultivators gathered ki inside their bodies by circulating their cultivation techniques, whereas body refinement cultivators would refine their bodies instead. When Shun Long had been in the Sky Fortune Kingdom, he hadn't even heard of body cultivators. Body refinement is said to be 100 times more difficult than ki cultivation, thus it had completely disappeared from the mortal world. Despite the higher difficulty, though, there were plenty of cultivators who focused on body refinement in the cultivation world. Shun Long had understood from these images in his head what type of body art the Monarch's Eternal Body was. It was an art that enhanced the body and made the person cultivating in it able to tear space with his bare hands. Shun Long knew that he already had a cultivation technique that could affect time around him, but he was just too weak to properly use it at the moment. Now, with a body that could tear through space as well, he wondered, how strong will I become by then? He sat in his room cross-legged as he studied this body refinement art. In the cultivation world, it was unbelievably hard for people to follow a path of both ki and body refinement, as they were two completely different paths. To become a ki cultivator, the ki you absorbed from nature had to pass through your meridians and circulate through your body, before becoming yours to use. However, the path of body refinement was completely different. The most common way to cultivate in body refining was to train your body for many years, injuring yourself every time before then consuming medicinal pills or taking medicinal baths that could help you recover and strengthen yourself even further. Shun Long, though, knew that he couldn't follow this path of body refinement. Firstly, he didn't have enough time to do so, as that would require many years to succeed, and secondly, the monarch's eternal body was completely different and couldn't be trained in such a way. It required Shun Long to refine certain medicinal pills and use the immense energy they contained to destroy and then rebuild his body from the inside. However, every path had its own shortcomings. Although it would be faster for Shun Long to advance in body refinement compared to other body cultivators who have been training their bodies for years, he would have to pay the equivalent price for it. Instead of having your bones, tendons, and internal organs to slowly strengthen themselves like they usually would have during body refinement, the monarch's eternal body would completely crush them before reforming him properly. This was the kind of pain that couldn't be described with just the word excruciating. Shun Long was slightly afraid inside. The smallest misstep could cause him to die this time. After taking a deep breath, he seemed to have realized something as he mumbled, "Now that I think about it, this all seems to be just parts of a bigger whole. First, I had to cultivate in the monarch's hourglass to have enough ki in my body as well as become a ki cultivator. Then, when my ki reached a certain level, the golden book sucked me inside and almost killed me when it filled me with all that information. And now that I have the knowledge I need regarding medicinal plants, magic beasts, and the human body, I can cultivate the monarch's eternal body by refining the pills I need. Could it be that the optimal path to follow is this double way of cultivating both in ki and body refinement? Even if it isn't, I still can't pass on such an opportunity. I have to at least try to cultivate in the monarch's eternal body as soon as I can gather the medicinal plants I need for it. For now, though, I should start with becoming more proficient in alchemy." Then Shun Long took out the 3 sets of honey fruit, blue stripped grass, 5-leaf giant flower, and grizzly growing root that he had purchased with Fatty Foo's help and sat down cross-legged. After that, he took out the peak rank 3 bronze-grade cauldron that his father had given to him before Shun Long had left the Blue Forest City. Shun Long took a deep breath, his eyes fully focused in front of him as he said, "It's time to start." The first thing he had to do was to turn part of his ki into the fire element and start warming his cauldron. Unless a person had trained specifically in an ice-focused cultivation technique, they should be able to easily turn their ki into fire. After about an incense stick of time, the cauldron was already warm enough, so Shun Long took out the 5-leaf giant flower. According to Lu Wen's books, I first have to pluck the petals before throwing the body of the flower in the cauldron. After it is fully converted to medicinal essence, I have to throw in half of the grizzly growing root before adding the honey fruit and the blue stripped grass. But this doesn't make any sense. If I pluck all the petals from the 5-leaf giant flower, although its energy will be easier to be refined into a pill, the pill would at least be 20% less effective due to this, and the medicinal efficacy will fall even further if you throw in only half of the grizzly growing root as well. The root grows under rocks and absorbs the energy of the earth to mature. Throwing half of it makes no sense if it is just to balance out the wood energy from the 5-leaf giant flower with the grizzly growing root's earth element. Shun Long pondered for a bit before he decided, "I will first add in the blue stripped grass before plucking 1 leaf from the 5-leaf giant flower to balance out its energy and refine it faster." Then I will put in the rest of the flour along with the grizzly growing root, and I will add the honey fruit last. This way the Qi barrier breaking pill will at least be 60 to 70% more effective compared to the book's recipe. If any competent alchemist had heard Shun Long's thought process this time, they would definitely spit on his face. If it was that easy to modify alchemy recipes, wouldn't everyone just do that?